Good morning, all you red-blooded, hard-working American citizens. Welcome back to my table. So, I want to talk a little bit on, what do we do? We know these people are bought and paid for by lobbyists. A lot of the lobbyists get their money from people who don't even have American citizenship. But that's just the way the system works, right? For now, it's up to us to make that system different. So we start a block, what they call a block, of real independence. I've been voting for independence for the last 2 years of my life. Only independence. Anybody else, I'm like, they don't earn my vote. They haven't, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. We know that the mainstream media and or even your Ohio.gov and your local voting polling place won't tell you who the write-in candidates are, which are the independents. All you see is a spot where you can write somebody's name in, or type it now. This past election, I was fortunate enough to be able to vote for 2 independent candidates. I did videos on it. So let's take a look-see. So right here, for the U.S. Senate seat that Rod Portman gave up, you had the chance to vote for a guy named Sean Hoffman for the U.S. Senate seat. You know, his bio said he was pretty much like an average Joe, just like me, just like you. He was a librarian for years. It's just what he likes to do. Go figure, them book readers want to get engaged in politics, right? So then right here, Tim Grady, he tried to run for governor. And it wasn't his first time. He seems like a real independent, a fighter. Like Donald Trump say, high energy type of trying to help people. And the whole thing about it for me was, I know there's a lot of things occurring. Not just to me, but to you too. I know they're passing a lot of legislation underneath our nose that they sweep under the rug, that they're not going to talk about. But when, let's say, shit hits the fan, kind of like with COVID, there's a lot of people that agreed with the way our governor handled the situation. But I guarantee you there was more people that disagreed with the way our governor handled that situation. If we had an independent in there, it would be easier for the majority of the citizens to sway the governor to do what we wanted them to do. Instead, they did the exact opposite. They did what they were told to do by the hierarchy. So, let's start a block. Let's actually get these candidates on the ballot, their name on the ballot, not as a write-in. Takes 5,000 signatures for me to obtain the seat I have been learning about so I could represent you. That is compared to 1,000 or 500 signatures on a Democrat or Republican's petition. Now, I want way more than 5,000 signatures on my petition because I learned how they actually get us off the ballot or stop us from being on the ballot. And they're tricky. But if you learn how they do it, then we can come up with a way to beat that. And it takes more than one person. Like, yeah, I could try to think about myself in my own seat, but I want help. I want help from the Ohio people, Congress. I want help from the U.S. Congress. And I want help from you. I want to help try to motivate you to participate and engage in something and feel proud about it instead of walking around with your nose down, mouth shut, hoping they don't come after you. They'll find you eventually. I want you to walk wherever you're walking with your head held high. Why? Because at least you're doing something different and you're participating in something different to potentially help your kids, your grandkids' future. So we got to take those seats, folks. We got to make the Republicans and the Democrats earn our votes. And if they're unwilling to do what we want them to do, we'll take the seats. Obviously, you know they're not doing what we want them to do. Giving our money to other countries, and then when it comes to the welfare of our people, they're giving our money to corporations. It's called corporate welfare. You know there's no lie to anything that any of the words that it's coming out my mouth. We all know this is how our politicians and our government has been functioning. So let's go over some headlines, people, because you're being misled. Right here. Donald Trump prepares for his return to Facebook and Twitter. Okay. Well, didn't Donald Trump start his own social networking site? If it was working the way it was supposed to be working, then why does he want to go back to Facebook and Twitter? Anywho, right down here, you can see Goldman Sachs is to cut up to 3,200 jobs this week as Wall Street grids for a tough year. Okay. All right. That's a sign of a recession. A lot of the people are talking, not in the mainstream media, but some of the folks I listen to, they're equating this to being just as bad, if not worse, than back in the Great Depression. How about this? Bank of America CEO expects mild recession and is preparing for worse. Guess what, folks? It's the same thing that they did the last time. You remember some of the recessions, the stock market crash. Guess what's going to happen to your money? They're going to have to bail out the banks once again, giving your money to the bankers so they can give themselves millions of dollars of it worth of bonuses. You remember what happened in the housing crash? AIG, I think it was. As soon as they got that money, they all went off on some retreat where you get your back massages, your pedicures, play some tennis, probably some golf. While they're like, how much money should we give ourselves? Because they did. Lots of people got lots of big millions of dollar bonuses. Get ready for that again. It's coming. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not some predictor person. I just see the same things occurring as the last time. And I'm logically thinking about it. And I'm like, not again. I'm tired of working, letting the government take my tax money to give to bankers? What the hell? If a bank functioned good, they wouldn't need our money. Any and all businesses, just like with corporate welfare. If a corporation is doing good business in what you'd call a free market, if that thing was real, then our government wouldn't have to give them millions of dollars every year. Politicians call those must-pass bills because the business would be making its own money. It doesn't need ours. It's what any good business does, to me. So what do? We take the seats. We start a block, we take the seats. I know there's a lot of good, red-blooded, hard-working American citizens that make less than $50,000 a year. If you make $40,000 to $50,000 a year, you're technically middle class. So what do? We take the seats. We start a block. True independents, people wanting to come from the Democratic side, the Republican side, I don't care, the Green Party side. Come here. Start blocking together. Start being willing to support some of us. All you gotta really do is care about the people in your society. Care about your family members. Truly care. Care about your neighbors. Even if you don't like them. Still have some sort of compassion, like they're struggling too. How about your friends? Care about your friends. Care about your co-workers, people. Have that care, concern. I know you hear their different challenges, problems, issues in life. Be willing to go in, get those positions. Find out how they're doing it. Find out what they're doing and how they're doing it. Be willing to talk about what they're doing and how they're doing it to the block. And then be willing to ask the block, what could we do about that? Because good is good and bad is bad. Now, all these politicians, Democrats, Republicans, alike, they're following a system that says all I got to do is get the position, and then I can go up and vote however I want. That's what they're doing. And they're voting in a way that lines their pockets with money. Your money. And my money too. I'm tired of my money going to that. They've been given, we know they give themselves, they vote themselves pay raises. We have some good ideas. I talked to a lot of good folks. Wealthy to poor. Commonality amongst us all says we want logical legislation that says representatives can't vote to give themselves raises. It makes sense. Shit. If I could go to my corporate job and vote for myself to get a raise, well, by all means, once a year, you better bet I'm going to vote on that. I want a raise. When do we get the raise? Like Ice Cube said, when do we get the bailout? So, all these people right here, not all of them, but for the most part, half of them. You see all the D's and the R's at the ends of their name. We have like no independent representatives in the great state of Ohio. Half of those jobs we could take in 2024. If you're willing to like, share, subscribe, maybe do something. If you got money, support true independents that want to go in and fix our issues with legislation. That's called governing. We could take half these seats. We could. There's no myth about that. There's no lie. Here we go with the House of Representatives for Ohio. You see all those D's? Oh, there's a lot of D's. There's way more D's than R's. Now, it's going to take me a little bit of time to narrow down which ones are going to be on the ballot, which seats are going to be on the ballot for 2024. But let's take them. Half of them are going to be on the ballot. Let's take those seats. And let's start producing what I call positive change. So back to the 40 to 60 grand a year is what you'd call middle class nowadays. I call it middle class based off of the numbers. So your average Ohio representative starts off at $63,007. Come on, man. Why can't you just give them $63,000 a year? Most of us, that would be a pay raise. All you got to do is be willing to, well, all you got to do is have concern for your family, friends, co-workers, and want to get to the bottom of some of these issues and whatever new legislation's coming up. Read it. Most of these congressmen admit they don't read the bills they vote yay or nay for. So then the seat I want for the United States of America, the Senate seat, we have 2 of them, every state does, and that will never change, even though, because our population shrunk, we lost a House of Representatives seat. But the job I want, like you can see, all these years, all the different pay raises that they gave starting senators. And in 2009 was when they raised it to $174,000 a year. If you help me get that seat, I guarantee you I will put $74,000 back in the Ohio citizens' pockets. You know, the red-blooded, hard-working American citizens in Ohio. Guaranteed. I'm not about money, man. I don't need that much to live. I'm a true conservative. So I'm going to make a conservative video. Talk about what true conservatism is. But, come on, folks. What's it going to take? You're going to have to. This next stock market crash is going to devastate your 401k and your pension. And then, is that what it's going to take? For you people to want to engage in something different instead of the same thing. I understand it's hard, but we got to talk about these things. We got to come together. We got to stop letting them separate us. It's divide and conquer. Stop letting them conquer you. Hope you got something from this. Maybe I sparked that little fire under your ass to get you moving, because things are happening rapid. It happened real fast. So good luck to all, and to each their own. Start working together, folks. Let's fix these problems.